You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 644, where we're going to break down a second trailer that has now come out for Maul Shadow Lord, one that I wasn't expecting. Well, okay, I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting it yesterday. Nonetheless, it came out, took us by surprise. We had to shift some shows around, but we're here tonight to break it all down, and there's some new information in here, some new things that we caught as we were watching that, and to help me break all that down is, of course, Chris. Chris, there he is. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not wearing, I actually am wearing General Grievous socks right now. So there is a little bit of green on the socks, but apart from that, everything is red from Maul. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a conflicting color style because, obviously green is supposed to be today's color, but no, not if you're a Star Wars fan. It's definitely blood red.
Yeah, it's blood red everywhere right now. Hey, before we get started with the show, I want to say thank you to all of our Patreon members. You guys are amazing, and we do appreciate all the support you give us. Especially want to call out some folks that are as part of the tribe members. That's Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz. I've got a Brad feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike Borda, Paisley, Reader Reborn, Sharkman Dan, Uncle Leon, and Will I Am. And our Delusions of Grandeur members, which are the highest tier folks, those are Now This Is Rod Racing, Steve, and Rob. If you guys are interested in Patreon, you can click the little QR code up here in the left or right corner of the screen. But yeah, we've got a ton of stuff out there for you guys to go back and listen to or watch, depending on where you decide to invest your money there. And on that note, let me give you some programming updates as far as what we've got coming out. So tonight we were supposed to do Is the Dark Side Stronger? So that's going to be a public show that we are now going to shift over to Tuesday, March 24th. So a week from today, we'll come back and do Is the Dark Side Stronger? And so that's really this age-old discussion about whether light or dark is stronger. We'll give examples as to which, we believe maybe or is in certain situations. And then we'll come to probably the same conclusion that we draw every time we analyze this, and everyone else does as well. But that'll be how we'll put a bow on that one. So that's episode 645, Is the Dark Side Stronger? It's a public show. And then on Sunday, March 29th, we'll come back and do episode 646. That's Balance in the Force. So that'll be a Patreon exclusive. And we're going to talk about yet another age-old discussion in Star Wars. And what does balance really mean? And talk about all that. It's a topic that's come up here recently. I think you and I, Chris, have seen people talking about it more and more, and figured it was time to revisit this topic. So that'll be on 329. And then 2 days later, we'll have another public show. That's going to be episode 646. That will be the final hype show for the Darth Maul series. So usually about a week before a series goes live, we give you all the details and get you all hyped up for it. And we'll answer the Razor Crest question, which is what's something that could happen that there's no way anybody could predict it, and yet it does. So that'll be a fun way to kind of end that show. So that's a ton of stuff coming up. That's what we got coming up. And so again, if you want to join us for Patreon and the Balance in the Force discussion, you can do so by heading over to cantinacast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/thecantinacast and register and sign up there. Okay. I think that's all the pleasantries on the business stuff we've got. Before we get into the trailer, give me your thoughts. I know, again, neither one of us was really it was on our radar, but it wasn't on our radar. They kind of sprung it on us, I think. Usually there's rumblings that, this is going to come out and that sort of thing. Didn't get any of that with this one. But I guess as you were watching it, for the first time, what were some of your initial impressions on the trailer?
So it caught me by complete surprise. The first indication that we were going to potentially get something was that, the little sound line, little teaser that Star Wars and Lucasfilm put out from Sam Witwer saying that something sinister was coming, right? So I kind of thought maybe it was a trailer, but or maybe it was maybe some stills or something like that. No,
Right,
it was a
right.
full blown trailer, and I saw it, and I was even more probably blown away to the point where I couldn't even speak when I first saw it. I was like, wow, this looks amazing. And I know
Mm-hmm.
we harped on it when we broke down the first trailer, but how beautiful and how much more advanced this animation looks for Maul Shadow Lord. It came out even more with this trailer. So I was really pumped. And then what we all want to see is we want to see Maul slicing people up and slicing stuff up. And that's exactly what we got. So I was stoked.
Yeah, no, and there's some great moments, and we've all seen, like you said, we've seen other trailers and stuff, but there was something about this trailer in particular that really showcased some of the art, or I guess the
Mm-hmm.
style that we've seen already. Even when you just go frame by frame and you stop it, there are some moments in there where you're like moments of brilliance, almost literally. It's beautiful animations, very artistic, very, it looks like it's at some point it almost crosses that line between like brush strokes, like it was hand drawn or handcrafted
Right,
versus
exactly.
CG or computers. And so I know you talked about having seen it. Was it Celebration when they first
Mhm.
previewed this, and everybody was kind of blown away. And even then, the video that was out there was kind of grainy, and so it was hard to see just how clear, or it was hard to see how detailed, and yet it's not, the animation is. And yet with this trailer we got that in droves. So we got a really good sense of what that's going to look like artistically. And everybody, I don't know that anybody's looked at this and said, oh, this is terrible, like what are they doing, kind of
No,
thing. Yeah.
I mean, if we take what we've seen in the Tales of series, which, you know, with each iteration of projects from Lucasfilm Animation, the animation itself has gotten better and better and better. In those Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Underworld, and et cetera, et cetera. Um, the animation was great, but I think they've taken it to the next level with this. I mean, it's just everything seems a lot more. It's not just the visuals, but like how the characters move. Like that was one of my big. I don't want to say complaints, but just something that I always noticed with watching Clone Wars and Rebels was that, and we talked about it on the show, was that whenever they would have a lightsaber duel, it was always slash stop, like a robot almost.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Maul in these trailers, he's just flowing like he was a real person.
Yeah, very
There is
fluid.
no stop or anything. He's just cutting through. And same thing with like the Inquisitors and Devin and all that. When they wield lightsabers, they're just smooth movements, and I love that they were able to improve on that, because again, that was one of the biggest things that I would notice watching Clone Wars and Rebels and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, they've taken leaps and bounds, and then we also talked about how they actually have in the background, versus just having animation be all CG generated for like backgrounds and stuff. They're using map paintings, and
Mm-hmm.
that just seems to have everything pop up even more. So you have your matte painting, and then you have the actual animation, and everything just looks that much more clean. It's amazing. I'm as you can tell, I'm very excited, because I've been a fan of cartoons and whatnot for years and years and years. To see animation take this leap, and it's coming from Lucasfilm Animation, I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
I just can't contain myself.
I know, and part of it is like you would expect it from somebody like Lucasfilm, right? They've always pushed the envelope in terms of the technology, whether it's animation, on screen, small screen, doesn't matter. They've always done it. Video games, right?
Right.
So in some ways, in some regards, it's probably expected. But you're right, to go back to the fluidity of it all, right? How
Mhm.
fluid the characters move compared to what we've had in the past. It harks back to that last season of the Clone Wars, where we got a lot of the motion capture that was done with Darth Maul, and I forget the other choreographer's name. She's done some really great stuff. But anyways, that was our first peek of that, and I think we were all blown away seeing just how cool that looked when they did that, and we're like, oh man, that was really neat. They did that kind of as a one off for just the final season of Clone Wars, and that may be the case. But to your point, they've done. It looks like they've enhanced some of the animation and the frame rate and all that to make it look more fluid, which I think you got to with somebody like Darth Maul, who's so animated and is so like so acrobatic and can do all these really cool things. It makes sense to really kind of give us that. So I think when I was watching the trailer, what really struck me first and foremost was how eerie the trailer was. Like it reminded me of, I don't want to be hyperbolic or dramatic, But if you ever watch like a A24 films, like the horror company, like they do a lot of the horror
Yep.
movies,
Mhm.
it was created almost like an A24 film. They even all the way to the point where we had like the strings that were being plucked, right, to kind of give you that creepy vibe or creepy
Yeah.
feel.
No, I
There's that,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, there's that one moment where the enforcer droids or whatever, or the defense force are walking in, and they kind of look up, and it cuts over to just some kind of, somebody walking in,
Mhm.
in the hallway at the very end of the hallway across the doorway, and you don't see it, and you're like latched onto it, and then they cut over to blackness, and then it's Darth Maul, and it's just the way it was all framed with the music, the atmosphere it gave. It gave a very more sinister, darker vibe than I think I was expecting. Because I mean, this was sold as it's being still sold as kind of a cops and robbers type thing, right? I think one of the creators of the show or producers, I forget now, just even recently mentioned that this was the first time they kind of dipped their toe into a cops and robbers type story to this extent. So I was thinking, okay, this is going to be more of a, who done it and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of sinister, like eerie vibes that I'm getting from this. And I hope that carries through. I mean, with the title of Maul Shadow Lord, right? He's got to, it feels like that has to be the atmosphere. And especially if he's going to insert himself into Janix, which is this world that we're on,
Mhm.
and suddenly rise to the top. I like that there's this shadow, literally, that is going around and rising to power, and it becomes legend, and people are talking about it when some people can't even see him, may not even see him, that kind of thing. So I like that he's in the background doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's I see where you made that analogy. It was that, the A24 movies, they're very suspenseful. They're able to bring up the suspense, and
Yeah,
that's kind of
right.
what we got here, and that gives it that sinister vibe, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Um, Another thing is that based off of, what we saw in the trailer, Maul's being hunted. He's the hunter and the huntee now because we have a Lawson going after him, and so I
Hmm.
mean we'll get all that when we break down the trailer itself. But I think we got a couple of new bits of information that kind of give us more of an outline of what this animation series is going to be and
Yep.
what kind of story it's going to give us.
Yeah. Some other quick things, just briefly. I thought the music was really good that was used in this. I don't know if we're going to get some of that music as part of the actual, soundtrack for the series, but I like what I'm hearing. It definitely goes with the mood. It was kind of cool to see that we aren't going to be completely landlocked on Janix. I think at one point we get to see the Pike homeworld. I already forgot the name of that world. I think we got to see a bit of that, which is cool. I like the character of Dawson. We'll talk about him, of course, in just
Mhm.
a second, right? But Lawson, not Dawson. I'm thinking of something else. Brander Lawson. I liked his character. I liked his accent. I forget the actor as well who plays him.
Yeah,
But
yeah, he's Brazilian. Um,
okay,
Initially, he sounded like the guy. I don't remember the actor's name, but he is the main actor on The Lincoln Lawyer. He had that type of like, Latin American accent,
yeah,
and but
yeah.
yeah, but I did some initial reading, and he's actually a big time Brazilian actor.
Okay. Yeah. So it feels like it's in good hands there. And what was really cool, and if you haven't had a chance, we did break down the first issue of the Shadow of Maul comic series. Chris and I broke that down, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And it was really neat to kind of see those characters, again, after having read the comic, right? And we'd seen it already, but after reading it, breaking it down, seeing the characters jump to the screen now, I think it's been a really cool effect. So I'm excited to see the rest of that series and where that series goes. But it was neat to kind of see those guys on the big screen or small screen, as the case may be. Okay, let's do this. Let's get into the breakdown. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's joined us in the live stream tonight for the recording. Thank you guys. I'm going to call out a couple names here, and then if you want to chime in, you can say hello. You don't have to. I know there's a ton of people on, but Dale's with us. Mudhorn Station, thank you for being here. Alex is with us. Paisley's with us. Hey, Paisley, One Up versus CPU is waving. Hello there. And then, yeah, if anybody else wants to chime in, please do so. Paisley was talking about the animation. She says, I loved it. The art animation, it looks really beautiful and not like any animation I've seen before. 100%. I would agree that does not look like anything we've seen before. Mudhorn Station says the animation was new and exciting, but at the same time, old and familiar. Really looking forward to it. I think it's a good point. Like there even was as new and as much as we've been gushing over the animation, there's still something very familiar with it, because of where, it's hereditary comes from, whether it's Rebels or Clone Wars or any of the other stuff that they've done in the Disney era, it feels like a natural progression, a natural evolution of the animation. So it doesn't feel too, we're not really that disposed or displaced with it all. But I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and get into the breakdown here. So we're going to tear this thing apart almost literally one by one. So we open with this kind of overhead shot, which I thought was really cool. I like that we've got some artistic style into how this is being, how the cinematography and direction is going with this series. And we get our first voiceover, which is coming from Captain Brander Lawson, who says, "Our target is a syndicate leader. He is associated with several criminal organizations and proficient with a laser sword." So to your point, and this is kind of alluded to in the comic, at least in the first issue, I mean, we know where it's going to go, like we said, because they've already done the solicitations for episodes or issues 2 and 3. But Brander is on the hunt. He is trying to track down Darth Maul. For what reason, we don't know just yet. I'm sure that'll come to light in this series. I'm sure we'll get all the backstory in the comic that leads up to that. But he's definitely going after him, saying that he's associated with several criminal organizations. That's an interesting take. Like, I don't know how many several is, but, we know that we've got the Pikes in here. We've got Blackson that are probably going to make an appearance at some point. But he certainly has made a name for himself. And we open with seeing these 5, what we call tactical defense forces. So the TDF, which I'm not sure if they're going to call them that, but we know from the comic book and from their chest, if you look at the Aurebesh on their chest, those are the TDF people. And we've got 4 droids and what looks to be 1 human, the human at the front there with a light. And then you've got 4 droids in the back. Those droids look like Two Boots. And Two Boots is the name of the droid companion that Brander Lawson has in the comic. I've not seen him in this trailer, so I'm starting to wonder too, like, does he make it? I can't remember if we saw him in an earlier trailer, because now I look at these droids and they look very similar to Two Boots. So hard to say who that is.
I think he will make it because I don't remember the actor's name. I'm really bad with that. I'm sorry, everybody. But there is an actor that is
that's right. He was
cast
tapped.
to voice Two Boots. And I don't know the guy's name, but if anyone's familiar with British comedy, he played Moss on the IT Crowd. And with I forgot the O'Dowd guy. I forgot his first name. I think it's Chris O'Dowd. Yeah, Chris O'Dowd. Yeah. Together, they were on the IT Crowd, and he played a character called Moss, and he's going to be voicing Two Boots in this show.
Awesome. Yeah. So I don't think we've seen, maybe we have. I have to go back and look at the other trailers too, but this isn't him. Hopefully this is not him, because these 4 droids do not make it out of the show or this episode, as we're going to find out here very shortly. But we open up with these. They're coming in. It looks like this is the aftermath of a scene that we're going to get a little bit later, where Maul obliterates these droids. We get this kind of eerie hand. It's, droid arm. I posted this today. When I saw this, it reminded me of the scene from A New Hope in the bar where Kenobi lobs off his arm. And I was mentioning that, Kenobi's living rent-free inside of Maul's head, because he can't get away from everything reminding him of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yeah, so they see that. They're obviously in shock. I don't know if this scene is connected. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm not sure who that is walking in the background. It might be one of the Zabrak brothers, either Scorn or Icarus. It's hard to tell. It looks a little washed out, but you can see they put the light. But that's what I was talking about. Like, they flash this light up here and, walks away. You're like, oh, who is that? It's kind of scary. And then we've got Brander Lawson coming in now. And I think this is where, no, not yet. So this is all still part of that same voiceover here. He comes in, he's got his gun. I don't think this is the same person that's here, because they're wielding a totally different weapon. I was looking at the pistol, the blaster that this guy has here in the front. Does not look the same, but I do wonder why he's got the helmet on. If this is just going to be a throwaway character, a red shirt, if you will, that somebody is going to die. We'll see. Dale chimed in. Sorry. Richard, and I am not going to get that last name. Ayode.
Ayode, I think that's his name. Ayode, Richard Ayode. Yeah, he was pretty funny. So I'm curious to see how he'll sound as Two Boots in this show.
Yeah. But Brander comes in. He's only got a pistol, no backup. I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe it is him in that helmet, because that person does get away here when we see in a second. Now, here's an interesting bit. Putting the 2 lightsabers together. So when you and I broke down, so we did a way station recently, and we were looking at the toy, like the action figures, the Black Series that was released, and a couple other ones. And we did note that it did look like one lightsaber is 1/2 of the lightsaber that he wielded during the Phantom Menace and the Clone Wars era. and the other half looks like a newer lightsaber.
Yep.
So he can use these as a single, he can use them as dual, or he can pop them together and make his double-bladed lightsaber just with a different aesthetic now.
And I just want to point out something here. And again, I'm probably going to gush over this the whole show, but just look how beautiful that looks. I mean, it's night and day from the first time we saw Maul in the Clone Wars to now. It is completely gone to the next level. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, it's almost hard. I mean, I hate to say it almost looks realistic.
It almost looks realistic. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. The lightsabers is where you really get to see that artistic style as well, just in the way they kind of ignite there. But so yeah, these guys are. So you can see there's 4 droids and this gentleman here on the front. I think he runs to the back because then we get this really quick shot here of what looks like somebody running with a riot shield. You see that? They're like charging. Yep. You got another one behind them. I'm assuming those are TDF people, Tactical Defense Force groups. So maybe part of the TDF. This looks like that same hallway scene where we see the droids getting chopped up that we just saw a minute ago. So maybe this is before that because the parts aren't there yet. So they've kind of put these out of sequence, and it's probably to scare us more than anything else.
Right.
And then we get to see a very quick shot here of Maul. I love this. He comes in with his double-bladed lightsaber ignited. He hits that blade, the blaster bolt right there. You can see it on the left-hand side, and it bounces off up into the left right there. In the background, and see, that's where so on the left-hand side there, the guy with the heavy repeater blaster, and we get a better shot of him in just a minute. So that's Icarus. We know that from the action figures and like the pot figure that they released as well. And then he's got his brother next to him. That's Scorn in the background. He looks like a lighter shade of Dathomir and Men. So I'm wondering if that was Scorn that we saw walking in the background there. But all 3 of them kind of burst through. This is almost comic book like in how they're kind of come into the screen like that. And then we get the Maul has like 2 scenes in this trailer alone that are like hallway scenes. So I don't know if this is a thing in Star Wars now where it's like they got to one up the hallway scene in some way, but he has this first one here where he just takes apart these droids. And you've noticed the guy in the background, that's the human. He does not get killed. In fact, he books it. You can see him right there. He turns and runs. Yeah. So that's what I was wondering. Is like, well, maybe that is Brander and he got away and pulled the helmet off or something. But I love the fact that I love the way the animation. I mean, you can see the swirls of the lightsabers here, like the sparks flying. And then the really cool icing on the cake that I was like, oh man, that's awesome, is the way they did that. I mean, come on.
Yes.
I mean, talk about flair. And, I was not expecting that continuation of the blade into the Lucasfilm logo.
Yeah, so whoever designed this they need a raise because this was amazing.
Yeah. It's really good. I love the fact that they did that. But man, I mean, look at all the parts there. I mean, he just slaughters those. I mean, they're just droids, so it's like, okay, it's not that impressive, but it's Maul. It's impressive. And visually it's very impressive. So we'll see what the fate of that other person is that gets away there. Okay. We then move into the second quote, the next line of dialogue. It says, "The Empire tried to kill me." This is coming from Maul. "Their betrayal demands consequence, and that consequence requires a weapon." And it ends with weapon as we see Devon, who is the Padawan, former Jedi, we'll talk about here in a second. But back to what you were talking about earlier, we know this is one of the matte paintings in the background.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it just blends perfectly with the animation. It looks like it's a continuation of it, but there's something about that nostalgia feeling or knowing that we're going back to our Star Wars roots and using matte paintings in addition to this high-level new technology that we've got with the animation.
Exactly.
The blending is just perfect there.
Exactly. We can make the analogy that it's like what we're doing in the live-action movies now, where we have a combination of CG effects where it makes sense, and then practical effects when it makes sense. I think we're kind of doing that here because matte paintings were used in animation, especially in Disney animation, for years and years and years. So yeah, it's kind of like what's old is new again.
Yeah. What do you think about this too? Like we also get we've mentioned that the Star Destroyer is right here. It looks like it's over the planet of Janix, and we get a line in here in just a little bit about the Empire is coming. So it's a similar situation that we've seen across the galaxy around this period where the Empire shows up and suddenly, they're taking over your whole planet and, seeing what they can pillage from resources or labor or whatever else they're doing. But do you think that's the same kind of scenario here? Do you think we're going to have them settling in on Janix and they're going to be there for quite, the whole series? And then where does Maul fit into all that, right? We see him fighting in ATST at the very end. So it doesn't look like he's being shy or hiding in the shadows when the Empire shows up.
Yeah, I think it's a scenario where I could see why the TDF is trying to keep things quiet, because the quieter it is, the less likely the overarching ears of the Empire will notice something's going on and then show up. I think that's what they're trying to avoid. But if in all of the stories of a oppressive empire against people, if they come in, if they discover an area that they currently don't have any reign over, they're going to come down and take over it, just because that's just the nature of an empire.
Yeah.
So I think here, once the Empire says, hey, something's going down on Janix, let's send a garrison out there, essentially, and they're essentially going to take over the planet, which I believe Lawson and the TDF were trying to avoid. That's why they wanted to keep things quiet. And I think that's where the urgency comes from Lawson, to capture Maul, to quiet that noise down, to keep the Empire from coming.
Right. Yep. I think that makes sense. Certainly tracks. And I think once the Empire gets wind that we have not only one lightsaber wielder, but there's two, I think that's when the 11th brother shows up, because, all right, something's going on there. Send the Inquisitors, there's some cleanup work that needs to happen. So that may be where they get engaged. So it sounds like it's just going to I'd like to see a situation where, from Brander's perspective, it starts off kind of like, okay, this is not good, gets worse, gets even worse. You know what I mean? Like, and it just the pressure keeps building upon everybody there, culminating with the Empire showing up. And then of course the Inquisitors showing up, because we got not only two Inquisitors.
Yeah. Two Inquisitors, Malik and what do you say? The 11th brother?
11th brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Malik. Yeah.
Merrick. I'm sorry. Malik. I'm horrible with names. But what I just want to say is, we first got wind of the Inquisitors in Star Wars Rebels, right? And while I love Rebels, I think Rebels is an amazing series. I always thought the Inquisitors would just be like a plot. What do you call them? Like just a something that would be used to push the plot forward. You have Kanan as a Jedi, and obviously they need to fight bad dark Force users who use lightsabers as well. I thought that once Rebels did its thing, that we would never hear from Inquisitors again. They've become a vital part of the Star Wars galaxy. Now we can't think of this time frame in the Star Wars saga without thinking of the Inquisitors. We just can't, because they have become a vital part. And kudos to everyone who has written stories for Inquisitors. I think all of those people who've done that have played a role in ingraining those characters in Star Wars lexicon, and I think it's great, because again, I thought there was going to be a plot device. That's the term I was trying to think of previously, just a plot device to move a story forward. Now they're much more than that. They have personalities and whatnot, and I think it's great. So they're a good bad guy for this era of Star Wars.
Yeah, and they've done a lot with them. They've really fleshed them out. They've matured more than just a plot device. They've got backgrounds, and there's lots of twists and turns. It seems like an infinite number of them at times. Like I don't even know what number we're on now and all that. So in some regards, they do get a lot. I've seen a lot of criticism because of them, right? Because they didn't exist in George Lucas's original plan, and we're worthy the whole time, blah, blah, blah. But to your point, I think they've done a good job of making sure that we understand that they were indeed there, and there are very valid reasons as to why they were there. And they were pivotal in the way the galaxy formed and shaped during this time period. So, but yeah, we got more shots of during that same voiceover here. We got the TK troopers showing up. We've got early versions of the ATST. I don't remember the model number on that one, but that's essentially what it is. You got Maul jumping down here, and he's got his cape. He's got his cloak on. This is two shots here. If you watch carefully, they've stitched it together, so it looks as though it's maybe just one. But if you notice, you've got him jumping down here. He's got the cloak. You've got the TK trooper taking shots. They start shooting at him. And then we cut here, and he doesn't have it. Now, he could have removed it at this point. I'm not saying he didn't. But I don't know that this is the exact same shot. I mean, meaning, like, this picture here might be more related to this one right here, because he's still wearing the cloak and he's attacking the pike here.
Yeah, I think they tried to make it look like one scene or one whole, continuation of a scene, but I think they've spliced a couple. Again, Lucasfilm does this in their trailers all the time. Yeah.
Just to kind of, I mean, it's cool because it's more cinematic and it really gets us excited and emotional, but I don't think they're trying to really purposely trying to steer us wrong. Although they have done that before. I'm not looking at you, Rogue One, in the TIE Fighter scene. Although that was cut, to be fair. Anyways, so yeah, you've got Maul coming in here. He's just, hacking away at pikes here, hacking away at stormtroopers. There's also this big droid in the background here. I think this might be a droid that we see a little bit later. I don't know. I don't recognize the shape of this particular droid here. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that the pikes have there. I have to go back and watch the pike episodes. But anyways, he's just mincing people. You've got this shot here, which looks like it's a shuttle. Could be Maul's shuttle. It could be someone else, and maybe the Inquisitors. I'm not really sure. It almost looks kind of like an Inquisitor shuttle, just from the back of the design.
Right.
But it's going down into the depths of what I assume is Janix as well. So similar to Coruscant, it might have a deep underground belly that's where the scum and villainy live. Although it seems like they're on the surface as well on this planet. You've got Maul kind of shifting there, and then we get that part here where he says that, and the consequence requires a weapon. And then right in when he says weapon, we get to see Devin show up. And so this is the Jedi somehow that survived. Another one, I know, I don't care. It can be 800. I still don't care. There were thousands, remember? So the likelihood that, a few hundred got away is probably okay. Excuse me. But yeah, we get Devin kind of doing Jedi stuff. She's fighting the TK troopers here. No qualms about killing anybody, though. I mean, she just cut right through that guy's left lung. Yeah, almost severed him in half. I mean, look at that. So
it's brutal.
It is brutal. And I'm brutal. And that's what I'm wondering too. Like, oh, by the way, this shot I love because she's in focus with the animation, and yet they've blurred the stormtrooper that she's force pushing. If you can see that, so that's really cool. But what I was going to say is, I do wonder how much. I mean, because the brutality of this is pretty kind of crazy. When I saw that, I was like, wow, she literally cuts this dude almost in half, like 3/4 of the way through his chest. And so I started thinking, okay, well, maybe, she's not going to be this, holy light of a Jedi that we would expect from, like, I don't know, the High Republic era, or even the Jedi of during the prequel era. She may be jaded, and she may have a chip on her shoulder. She may have been someone that it was a Jedi but was conflicted or had some dark side to her or something like that, because Maul's got to see something in her, right? Outside of the raw potential that exists, he's got to see something in her where he feels like he can twist that and squeeze it and make it into something more than it really is, right? Some kind of a hatred or a fire in her that he can really kind of stoke and get her to come over to the dark side. That's how I'm reading this, because I just don't know that she would go off and just start slaughtering people the way she's doing in this picture,
So I have a couple of theories about this. So one, obviously it's a different time. If she was a I don't want to say properly trained, but if she was a formally trained, like Padawan, from the temple and whatnot, obviously this is a big departure for them, because now, they're low on numbers. They're being hunted to the death, not for, I mean, they've captured some of them, but essentially the job is to eliminate the Jedi. So now they're kind of in a fight for survival. And at that point, you have to do what you have to do. Or we talked about what Maul kind of potentially may see in her, a little piece of, darkness inside her. Remember, similar to what he saw in Ezra on Rebels, why he kept pestering him to be his apprentice.
Yeah.
We take it a step further and we go to Ahsoka, where Balin's skull refers to Ezra as a Boken Jedi, essentially a Jedi that was not brought up in the temple in the normal Jedi way that Padawans would be brought up to become Jedi Knights. Obviously, technically Luke is a Boken Jedi, right?
Right.
It was not traditional. Could she be one of those types of Jedi? And Maul knowing that, hey, they don't have all the dogma of the Jedi behind
Right.
her, taught in are ingrained into her mind. She's just, she's a good person, strong with the Force. A Jedi saw that, decided to train this person as a Jedi, and she's a Boken Jedi, and that's why Maul is drawn to her.
I like that idea. I think you're right too. Like she's not going to have the discipline or the training, the ethical training that Jedi go through, and they go through a lot of it too. It's not just like, oh, one lesson and you're done. It's a daily thing, trying to recommit yourself to the light and doing what's right because it's right. I mean, that's a conscious effort that you have to make all the time. And so, someone who doesn't go through the temple training properly, formally, they're not going to have that. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, I like that idea.
And if we look at the characters that, okay, obviously she's just being introduced, but if we use Kanan and Luke as examples, Luke was tempted, Kanan was tempted, and in both cases, a turn here or there, and they could have turned to the dark side, or a twist or whatever. So they're more susceptible to falling. From my opinion,
Yeah. Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, their core is not as strong, right?
Right.
Yeah, we got Maul walking here on the bridge. I guess this is the first encounter. The symbolism of his shadow overtaking her is not lost on us here. That's really cool.
That's great. I love it. Yeah.
And no lightsaber, at least I don't see it on her belt. Oh no, she's got it. She just hasn't ignited it. So maybe she's choosing not to because she's in hiding, right? We know that was pretty common that they wouldn't ignite their lightsabers because of that. We've got some pikes.
Yeah, here comes something that's going to be awesome. But let's explain it.
Yeah, you got the pikes here. They're looking. This is another one of the bridge moments. And then you see Maul ignite his lightsaber.
Another hallway
scene. Yep. And then we get to, now we talked about the master in this one, Jedi Master Iko Diodaki. We get to see him again here, and he's talking now. Let's see, we're trying to remember. Let me go back to the scene here where we got him show up. I mean, essentially, they're just talking about how, look, even though Maul is, fighting the Empire, doesn't mean he's going to be a good guy. Like we can't trust him, is what, to kind of recap that. It's he wants to fight. He wants to fight as allies, right? Is what he says here. And the Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally. I forgot to mention too, there was a voiceover after he says that we need a weapon. He says, together we can destroy the Empire, which, we've talked about. Right. It does sound like he's trying to recruit her and bring her over onto his side, either as maybe as an apprentice, maybe as a peer. I don't know. We'll have to see what that relationship looks like, because we know what it did with Ezra, and that didn't work out so well. But yeah, another master here. You can see him holding his cane. We talked about that too. Maybe that's a lightsaber that's hidden there. But yeah, I mean, Maul just goes Vader, for lack of a better term, on these poor pikes in here. Some really cool shots too, the way he just kind of takes them all. I mean, he's just brutally killing them. And I think the rest of that scene's right here. Yeah. I mean, look at the blurring. I know we keep saying, we feel like we're just repeating ourselves, but the blurring of the animation there.
Yeah. But the thing is it's not just a blur to blur. You know what I'm saying? There's a purpose behind it. There's movement that makes sense to see that blur. Keep in mind, we got the triangle shaped blurs in like Clone Wars and Rebels. We haven't gotten blurs that flow like this. Blurs, I should say, that flow like this before. I mean, it's just amazing. Even without all the the little tails that the blur looks like it's leaving, it's still smooth. It's still not a right triangle type thing. It's smooth and it flows, and that's why I'm so impressed by this animation. And it's like the timing of the strikes, where you see the yellow light when the saber strikes something or someone. It's all timed, and it all comes out just so much more naturally now. It just looks so amazing. I'm so, again, just stoked by this.
Yeah, it looks like he pushes this pike, and if it's the same pike, he then just uses the Force to kind of raise him up. Maybe he's going to do what Vader did, where he pins him up on the ceiling and stabs him or pokes him there with the lightsaber. We'll see. Yep. The next part we get on here is on April 6th, which this is the line where he says, the Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally.
Right. There's
even more.
They're just saying he's just saying that it's not the case, where they say, an enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah,
with
not
Maul.
with this guy.
That
Look at
is
that.
what I'm talking about. Oh boy.
I'm sure they cut. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I mean, it looks pretty brutal. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll actually show him. It's just a pike, so who cares, right?
Yeah, who cares? It's a nameless pike.
Yeah, we get away with a lot of this if it's droids and pikes, apparently. But April 6th, that's when this comes out. We get this quick shot here of what looks to be kind of like a subway train, and you see, I'm pretty sure that's Maul. He looks better there than some of the other shots. It's kind of hard to really tell. I was like, oh, is that Deadpool? Because it kind of looks like Deadpool.
Yeah,
too,
that first shot, it looks like Deadpool. Yeah,
but no, it's Maul.
it's Maul. Yeah.
So yeah, it's, and again, this is him being elusive, hiding in the shadows, literally right before our eyes. It's kind of cool. We get Brander here. This is where he says, this is escalating out of our hands. So that's what I was talking about. It feels like it's starting to really unwind, and he's starting to feel very uncomfortable about how many people are starting to show up and just how far the rabbit hole goes here. We get the Age of Maul. There we go. So there's Icarus there holding the repeater blaster. You've got Rook, I believe, on the right-hand side, although she might be there in the back and the left. I can't tell. No, that's
I couldn't tell if that was Rook or not, or it's just a Mandalorian, which we see more of him in this trailer.
Yeah, and he's got him, he's got a certain clan of his that are on his side from the from Rebels or the Clone Wars. But yeah, you've got Icarus right there, and then you've got a Scorn on the left-hand side holding that blaster. So those are the two Zabraks that we know we're going to have. There's Icarus having the grand old time. The lighting on that's really awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah, I when I first saw the trailer and I did my reaction video, I was like, oh, that just looked awesome.
Yeah, great job on the animation there, of course. And then we got Blyce. Was that her name? Captain, where is it? I had her. Captain Kleiss.
Kleiss from the comic.
From the comic book, yeah. Yep. So that's why I was like, oh, cool. Now I know who that is. I didn't know until I read the comic book. So that is her that's I'm going the wrong way, sir. That's the captain. So to kind of, I won't spend a lot of time, but when Brander gets assigned a new unit, he kind of reports up to his chief, and that's Captain Kleiss here, which we see. So she's in the comic book. Not exactly sure what role she's going to play in all this, but it's good to see that she's made it into the show. All right, let's keep going here. I'm trying to remember what was it that she said. She had a line there quickly. We need to find him, whatever it takes, is what we get the line there as well. So we talked about Icarus. This one's interesting. Like that looks like either a TDF or some local police. Maybe the local police is the TDF. Mm-hmm. We haven't figured that out just yet from the comic book. But that looks like kind of like a cop shuttle. You can see the red and blue lights very briefly there. But the interesting thing is, and I don't think this is the same shot. You've got the bounty hunters or the Mandalorians, and likely one of these is Rook. I think that is Rook based on the color of her armor. Mm-hmm. And they fire what looks to be just blaster bolts. But then on the next shot, you can see these wires that are being shot across from one building to another. And the reason why is if you look in the background, you've got these two additional cop cars, if you want to call it that, cop speeders, police speeders. You can see the one right here on the right-hand side now coming into frame. It's got the red and blue lights. But this is almost like a speed trap that they're using to and maybe this one in the front is not one because I don't see the lights, but it's so fast and blurry, it's hard to tell. But what's cool is it hits these wires and it splits the vehicle into a number of pieces. Like you can see it right there. It just splits it up.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's like some crazy death speed trap that they set up to take some of these out. Now, I don't know if that's the cops that have put this together, right? They could be in pursuit of whoever this is, or maybe it's one of the syndicates, or maybe it's Rook and Maul's folks. But someone set this up to destroy these speeders that are flying through the air.
Or it could be a situation where they're trying to keep whoever could be in that first speeder quiet and take them out.
Well, they're quiet.
Yep, they're quiet in several pieces
in
right
six
now.
Different ways right now. Yeah, getting scattered across the bottom there of the planet. So on April 6th, the Age of Maul. Then we get the word begins here. We're almost coming over, and this is Pike Land, right? So we got to see that shot right here. I forget the name of the planet, but so
Pikeland. I like
that. Then you got 11th brother, aka the Crow, coming out of the he does the infamous, door opening up ever since Vader, like Jedi. Is that wherever that shot's called now? It's got a name on it. And this is where he says the Empire. This is Brander saying the Empire will want answers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're coming to figure out what the heck's going on here and why these guys are causing, why there's so much stuff going down. This looks like I love the shadow of it, right? The shadow, the shadow of the Empire, no pun intended,
right.
looming over Janix as it comes up during the daytime here on the planet. I don't know what's going on with this scene. Like, I mean, clearly that's Marok, but why is he standing behind Brander? Why is he putting his arms on him? Maybe it's an intimidation type thing.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
trying to get him to do something he doesn't want to do, or allow them to take control of the situation or take over the situation. But I mean, you can see it on Brander's face. It's like, oh man, this is not how I wanted things to go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we should have never made this bargain.
Yep. Yeah, the Empire will want answers. The Empire will lock down this planet is the next line here. And then as we get Marok, we go right into the Marok scene. So we can see him here. He's kind of flipping over. This is back on that train. You can see they're in the train subway tunnel or whatever. He ends up locking lightsabers with Devon. He says, Jedi, where is Maul? Very much a Force Awakens shot right there.
Right.
Or Kenobi or a number of other ones. Okay. So I posted this today, and I don't know what this is. But if you look on Maul's back, okay, agree that there's something on his back right now. The light, you see the light there, the little red light on his arm?
Yes.
Okay. And you agree that there's something sticking out right there?
There is something sticking out right there. Yes.
Right. Because his arm goes up. And then when he goes down to jump, that piece suddenly looks almost like a person. Like you can see the head and the shoulders. And then it goes here. You can see now it looks like a head slumped over his back. And then it morphs into his arm right there. And then he jumps. And when he jumps, it's suddenly gone. I'll go back again. So you can almost see that whatever it is sticking out underneath his armpit. You see though, there's like a little piece of metal there.
Exactly.
That's the piece there. And that red light is from it as well. Because when we get to this shot, there's the light.
Uh-huh.
Definitely his arm is up. And he's got this ball or something underneath there. Here, I'll go to full screen so you can see this. Well, maybe I'm not, because I'm going to screw it all up. But yeah, and then there it is again. Definitely got a red light. His arm is up. He's got something on his back, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is this that morphs into his arm?
And then it goes away. It could be a number of things. So let's see what we see when he jumps. So
here, yeah, when he jumps, you don't see. Okay, you can see him right there clearly. Doesn't have anything. He lands.
He doesn't have anything.
So either this is something that I don't think anybody's talking about. I posted on social media, and I've had a few people comment. I know one said it's Sith magic, and which could be the case. But then why do we have lights on it too? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what's the point?
What's the point, right?
What's the point? Could it be a QC error or a QA error?
Well, that's the other thing. I was like, well, maybe it's just some kind of a animation error or something that they didn't catch when they were cleaning it up. But it seems very purposeful too. At the same time, like it's clear that there's something on his back. So why would they animate that with his arm like that? Yeah. I don't know. It's creepy as all get out.
It's weird because I can see where it could be like armor, but the way it kind of just like morphs into the arm, and then we see zero trace of it when he's jumping.
Yeah.
You and I both work in tech, and we know that you have QC QA to find stuff like that. I think it might be just an error that exited it got released, and
some kind of an animation anomaly that
anomaly, and it just got released as is. Because it's so fast, I didn't notice it until you posted what you posted. I didn't notice that at all, and I saw the trailer like 3 or 4 times in a row. I didn't notice that. But now that I've seen it frame by frame, there is something there. Whether it's valid and it should be there is the question.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. One Up versus CPU says, I think it's a gun. Dale says armor. Alex says it's a tumor. It is not a tumor. That's my best Arnold. Sorry. One Up again says a jetpack or a gun. But there's nothing there when he lands, so they're hiding it by combining 2 scenes again. Maybe. I don't know, man. It's really weird. This is going to keep me up at night trying to figure out what the heck that was on his back. But, if you get a chance, go watch a trailer for yourselves, download it, watch it, whatever. Tell me if maybe I just got a bad version of the download and I'm seeing something that really isn't there. I don't know.
Now I'm going to have to go in and see myself because, like I said, I didn't notice it until you posted about it, and I haven't had a chance to review it again. So I definitely will do that.
All right. Well, we're kind of burying the lead on this scene because honestly, this is some of the more fluid Jedi type fighting that we've seen in a long time, but definitely it highlights. I mean, you can just see the choreography and the animation. He does a little Anakin back lightsaber fling there, but this battle between him and Merrick looks like it's going to be pretty cool. The other part of this battle is, it almost feels like she's conflicted on whether or not she wants to help Maul. So this could be kind of that pivotal watershed moment where she finally decides to put all her chips in, or at least some of her chips in with Maul, because you can see here, she's kind of contemplating it. She then jumps in into Maul, almost Maul's defense in some ways. And then kind of takes the front, and Maul takes a step back, almost allowing her to go ahead and fight Merrick one-on-one.
Right.
That could be manipulation, could be intentional.
Allow her anger and her rage to grow with each strike,
Yep. Or even further, if you want to take it even further, knowing that Merrick has got her beat, is going to have her beat. And so it's going to give Maul an opportunity to do this.
Is come in, exactly.
Yep. And save her, right? And you can even see it on her face here. When you look at her, she sees it. She looks like, frightened that she's about to die right here. And then once the light, if you see it pan up, her eyes right here, she's looking up, very surprised that Maul has suddenly stepped in to basically protect her,
So you want to talk about, if you could take 2 frames back where she makes that look
right there.
That looks real. That looks real.
Lighting,
the lighting, the way everything is in this scene, it looks like a real scene in just a really red set. It is it's amazing. Again, I hopefully the bar is raised so high that the future shows from Lucasfilm Animation can meet this level, because if they ever try to go back to something more simpler, it's not going to fly for me.
This is the bar. All must be met here. But yeah, and to kind of continue this, Maul pushes him away, and I don't think this is the exact same scene. I can't tell if something happens to Maul, because look, he kind of bends down like he's, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Either way, she suddenly has a burst of energy, and you could argue that it's just her training, or you could argue that she's scared and therefore she's tapping into her fear, and her fear is making her more powerful, because she comes up leaping and throws Merrick back with just her lightsaber swing right there. It pushes him back. And then in midair, she does her little, Chun-Li kick in midair, kicking him back there. So, and you can see her looking at Maul right here. I assume this is after the battle, like, why did you save me? Or maybe I do believe you, or thank you kind of thing. But, and then Maul I don't know if this is the same shot, but I love this picture here because you got that green eeriness that's going on there.
Exactly. So like I said, for the title card, this is perfect.
Right. Yep. Yeah, so that was the Jedi, where is Maul? And then he says, I'm right here. He jumps off. And then we get a couple quick shots here. We talked about this one in one of the other breakdowns where, she's being hunted down by a gunship. You see Merrick and the crow there. We talked about this scene a lot. I think we've confirmed that now, based on this trailer especially, it does look like they're basically being pinched. They've got stormtroopers in the bottom right-hand side here of this bridge. You've got stormtroopers on the left-hand side, and you've got not Merrick. You've got Icarus. You can see him better in this one than the other one, in my opinion. But you've got Maul's team right here, and they're being pinned from both sides on this bridge. There's Icarus firing the gunships. It's going to be interesting to see how they get away from this. What ship is that?
That looks like a Mandalorian ship.
It does. Yeah, you're right. It sure does.
Which would make sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, man, it's seen better days, I'll say. But yeah, so that gunship comes in. This is all part of that same shot here. This is where I think we see Icarus fire that repeater blaster, and he's yelling, screaming, or just laughing, maybe. But
there's Rook there too.
There's Rook in the back. Yep. And then look who's jumping to the front to help.
And notice who's not here. Her mentor or master, whomever he is, he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that, breaking down the first trailer, that if Maul is going to end up being, her mentor / master, something has to happen to that other guy. Right. And so I guess we'll find out what really happens.
You got a Dukes of Hazzard style crashing through the bridge, gate, barrier, whatever it is. I'm not sure what's going on here. It just looks like a police chase of some sort, or some kind of city chase. Maul coming in, clashing saber. So on that bridge, it looks like the 11th brother and Maul finally have their duel. We'll see who wins that one. Because Maul, spoiler alert, the brother lives. We know that. The 11th brother lives because he shows up in Ahsoka, and it's not till he doesn't die till Ahsoka kills him. So both of them live. So that may be anticlimactic. Who knows? More TK troopers shooting. She runs up here. Maybe this is the same shot. I don't know. But she jumps from Mary. She leaps, and then we see her jumping onto one of the gunships very briefly. Oh, this is what I was talking about. So that's Rook here.
Yep.
She runs and she jumps, but you can see there's one kind of weird droid down there on the left-hand side, and then you've got a protocol droid, like a 3PO unit type droid on the right.
That looks
I'm not familiar with that droid, though.
Yeah, to me, that looks like a Rex droid on steroids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whatever. I'm not sure what this is, but it's a cool shot of Rook jumping. The credits are right there. There's a crate of credits. You can see them underneath her. So I think this might be related to one of the scenes that we got from one of the first trailers where they were unloading credits at some point. But this is one of the infamous bounty hunter moves called Death from Above that they do. So yeah, nice cool shot there. There was a moment there too where I forgot the line, "Let us have our revenge," where Maul says that. So he's talking to Devin about having revenge, and I think that's really where he's kind of going with this, like, hey, you need to have revenge for the Empire because of what they did to your Jedi and to you and your family and your master and blah, blah, whoever else. He's going to play the revenge card here to sway her to kind of join sides. And at some point she yells out, "We're not going to take on the whole Empire," which I don't know, man. Maul probably is able to do that until bigger people step in.
Right.
But yeah, this is, your Force Unleashed moment here with Darth Maul, where he's running up at an ATST, dodging the blasters, finally jumps up here, slices one of the legs. And then, she looks shocked. I don't know if this is the same shot. I don't think it is, because it's a totally different scene. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, he's got one leg severed, essentially. You can see it there. Looks like it's a clean cut. It's probably going to fall over. And then he just helps it along the way by throwing his double-bladed lightsaber up the back, up the spine of the ATST.
Like a table saw blade.
Yep. And it falls over. Yeah, it looks like the leg is gone right there. So yeah, he may not be taking on the entire Empire, but he definitely took on that ATST there. Yep, and then we get this menacing shot. He's kind of got a little smile on his face here. But, if the Maul has ever looked more like a devil, he looks like the devil here more than any the other stuff. And that's it. That's the trailer. Exciting stuff, man. Oh, I didn't catch that little lightsaber clash right there that they added.
Yeah, right there. Yep. The Disney Plus has to throw in their little effect there for, whatever IP they're promoting.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to catch, and we've talked about this before, but now it's because Star Wars and Lucasfilm released a graphic of the schedule.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we're getting 2 episodes a week, and it starts on the 8th and ends on the 4th of May. So, yeah, and this is another thing we talked about, and I'm still curious because I don't think we have a straight up answer. Is that why would they do this? We talked about how they changed the release schedule. Normally they release Star Wars properties or most any new thing on Disney Plus on Tuesday evening,
Mm-hmm.
but now it turns out it's moved to Monday morning, and
At 12
2
a.m.
episodes. Yeah, 2 a.m. which
2
would be
a.m. our time, but 12 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, so essentially the crack of that Monday,
Right.
and it just I want to know why, because Disney, we've been around Disney properties for a while, not just Star Wars, and if they have a set schedule for how they release certain properties, they normally stick to it unless it's a special event. So is there something else coming up, and that's why they want it done by May 4th? We'll just have to figure out and see. But I think while it's great that we're going to get 2 episodes a week, it kind of disappoints me a little because this series is going to end sooner than I would like it to. Even though we're going to get the same amount of episodes, it's going to be over in 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. It will be over very, very quickly. Yeah, in some levels, it feels like we are in some kind of condensed time frame, a rush for some reason. I don't know what that would be outside of conveniently ending on May 4th, and they've got the 50th coming up here soon. They've got a lot of stuff they want to announce on May 4th, so they may just want to not to disrespect this show by any means, because I don't think that's what they're doing here, but they want to maybe realistically get Maul out of the way, because we've got all this other stuff that we've got to talk about and do and plan, not just between Star Wars, but Star Wars and other Disney IPs that are coming up throughout the rest of the year. I think I'm fine with the schedule. The 12 a.m. start time makes sense because not Disney shows, but a lot of other television shows do it, like Netflix and stuff. When they release things, they release it on that 12 a.m. California time, which for us, unfortunately, is 2 a.m. If you're on the East Coast, of course, that's 3 a.m. That's a bummer for me because I love watching it on the first showing.
Right.
And I'm usually up at 6 a.m. for work. And so do I really want to stay up for, 2 hours? I can't remember. There was one of the series we did, or one of the series that Disney released, I was staying up for. And I want to say it might have been Mando, honestly. Or maybe it was Kenobi.
I know I did Mando. That first season, they debuted it midnight Pacific.
Yep.
And I wouldn't stay up. I would sleep. I would wake up, watch it,
go back to sleep.
Maybe not.
I think I stayed up for all those, the 2 a.m. showings, because I remember going to bed at 3 a.m. and posting stuff really late at night. So this isn't the first time they've done that. I just don't like it. And now that it's 2 episodes, that makes it even harder, because now you're a 2-hour commitment at 2 a.m. That's going to be rough. I do want to just quickly kind of talk about this. If you feel like titles spoil anything, then just turn it off or mute it, honestly, because I want to call out the names of the titles. We don't need to break them down, because I want to break this down when we get into our final hype show. Okay. I want to speculate on what these titles mean, but I'm going to read them off real quick here, because even the way it reads, you talked earlier about the theme, thematically, how it feels darker, more sinister. When you hear some of these titles, they sound like horror titles to like movies or comics or episodes that you would expect. So the first one, Chapter 1, The Dark Revenge. Chapter 2, Sinister Schemes. On April 13th, we get Chapter 3, Whispers in the Unknown, along with Pride and Vengeance. April 20th brings us Inquisition. I'm assuming that's when the Inquisitors show up. Chapter 6, also that night, is Night of the Hunted. April 27th, we get Call to the Oblivion. Also with The Creeping Fear.
Hey,
that sounds like a Metallica song.
Actually, I don't mean to interrupt. The Creeping Fear was the initial name of Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah. So all coming back. Yep. I think it was, and that someone had rumored it. Someone had leaked this like a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago when it was first announced. There was a leak saying that one of the episodes was going to be called The Creeping Fear, and everybody's like, yeah, right. Oh, here it is, Creeping Fear.
Here it is. Yep.
And then our final 2 episodes on May 4th, Strange Allies and Finale, which probably appropriate, because I think if you had anything in there, you might deduce too much, or it might give stuff away. So some very cool title names, not what I was expecting, honestly.
Right.
But again, playing more into the gothic horror atmospheric type tones that we're seeing from the trailer.
What if you just told me the names of those episodes without giving me any context, it sounds like a Stranger Things season.
Yeah.
It's very close.
Right.
Yeah, it's very close to that. Yeah.
Sorry, in the chat, One Up says 3 a.m. Eastern on Monday. Yeah, buddy, get some rest. Paisley says that Monday is going to be rough. Yeah. Going to work that Monday. It is going to be rough. And One Up says, I think Ahsoka was late night too. Yeah, I think Ahsoka was late night as well. So
No,
again,
Ahsoka debuted I guess it was 5 p.m. Pacific because 6 p.m. Pacific because I remember I was there refreshing my Disney Plus at 8 o'clock to see the episode of Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be a fun ride, man. We'll see. And again, we've got our final hype show coming up here in I think 2 weeks time. So on the 31st of this month. So yeah, 2 weeks from today, we'll have the final hype show, and we'll get into more of the titles, speculate on some of that stuff, and break all that down. So join us for that. But Chris, anything else before we get out of here?
Oh no! Again, I've just gushed about this trailer for the last hour, and I'll probably continue to gush about it. But I'm really looking forward to that final hype show because obviously with the 2 trailers we have, there's a lot of theories flowing out there, and with now we have the episode names as well. It's going to be a lot to chew on, so I'm really excited for that episode.
Yeah, same here. I'm excited about it too. So before we jump, real quick shout out to everybody that joined us in the live stream tonight. Dale, Mudhorn Station, Alex, One Up versus CPU, Paisley was with us, and did I say Dale? Dale, you get 2 or 3 more shout outs here. I think that was everyone that chimed in. But thank you guys for all your questions and your feedback. Always appreciated. And then lastly, just a reminder that we've got Is the Dark Side Stronger? That's an episode that we're going to talk about here a week from today. That'll be a public episode. And then that Sunday, the 29th, we'll do our Balance and the Force episode. That'll be a Patreon exclusive episode where we'll talk about what does balance mean? When has the galaxy ever been in balance? And certainly bring up some of the, lines from George Lucas, some of his quotes, and how
Freddie
some of
Prinze
that has been
Jr.?
interpreted. What's that?
And the theory from Freddie Prinze Jr. that seems to be making the rounds again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a take on it, and
Right.
it all comes down from a certain point of view, I'm sure,
Right.
At the end of the day. But we'll get into all that here on the 29th. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us on the breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you continue to follow the show. Please like, subscribe, throw a comment down below. We'll answer those as well. But on behalf of myself and Chris, we will see you guys here on the next episode.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.